Like I said, I wish I had a cameraman, that way you guys could see me actually charging this thing. I'm going to show you the gun anyways, but just so that there's no question that we are doing what we claim we're doing. Alright, freshly charged. Hopefully you guys can see that. I should have asked my wife to come out here, but she's not very cooperative this morning. But you can see by the, even if it's blurred, you can tell by the way the gauge and the needle are pointing. Alright, let's put 10 more in it and let's shoot at the right target this time. Now, I'm not saying it won't produce flyers, I just want to see myself. This is at a much higher charge, so the shot group's probably going to be a little bit higher. I don't see any flyers. I see my shot group's a little bit higher. Point of impact is a little bit different with the full charge, but I'm drilling a hole. I don't know, guys. That's 10 shots, and I think if I shoot another clip, make a slight adjustment at that pressure level. Let's see if we can't cut that bullseye right out of there. Inconsistent. There we go. I don't know, for sucky ass Crossman pellets. There's one that drifted. Got one more clip here. Let's see if we can cut that diamond out of that bullseye. A lot of times when I'm playing around like this, I can't get that diamond off the bullseye because it starts to flap when I hit it. But we'll try to shoot the thread off of there. I don't know, guys. The only thing that sucks with these crossings is that they are a little inconsistent. It's almost gone. Hasn't stopped shaking. I don't know, guys. There's 30 shots. Let me see if I can zoom in on that target. Well, I think you can see it pretty good. I pretty much cut the bullseye right out of there. As far as flyers, I didn't see anything that was out of the norm. You'd still be able to pop anything you're hitting. You should be able to kill it. I mean, the distance I saw in the scope looked more like a ½ inch of drift high with the new charge, but not a flyer. The flyers were, once I started hitting a consistent group, you could see one of the pellets would drop low. Other than that, this thing shoots phenomenal. And that's right out of the gate, guys. I don't know what to say. There is a phenomenon that happens when you charge the gun, that it is like having a void inside of the chamber and putting high pressure in there. You have to realize that what you're dealing with is you have an air tube that you're filling with high pressure. That air tube's going into a smaller hole, which is restricting the flow. It helps to amp up the pressure a little bit when it goes into the gauge port. From the gauge port, it goes into the valve, and in the front portion of the valve, where the spring has its spring locker there, there's a little screw-in part if you've taken one apart. It has a smaller hole than what the gauge port has. So now again, you're pushing high pressure into an even smaller hole to fill up a much smaller chamber. And in that process, you end up creating a void because there is no consistent flow. You've gone from one empty tank with a certain amount of pressure, and now you've pushed a lot more pressure into it, and a lot of times you'll get those whacked out shots because the flow is not consistent. You're hitting like an air, best way to describe it is like air bubbles in a gas line, as I said to exit in the post that I set up, or air bubbles in a water line. If you can get the water line burped, you have continuous flow, constant, same pressure all the time. You add an air bubble to it, you're going to get inconsistency, and that could cause your pellets to fly off. If it happens, in what I found with guns that it does it, is that you'll get the same type of situation when you charge as you do when the charge needs to be refilled. And I did ask Exit about that, and I am waiting for him to answer that question. But all the ones that I've done, that's the typical indicator that it needs to be refilled, as you start to get what looks like flyaways, and it happens suddenly when the gun is tuned just right. Like if I shoot this gun down, I can get down to about 800 psi and the gun will just start shooting everywhere. You'll have nothing for consistency because the pellet isn't moving fast enough down the tube to hold itself where it needs to go. And that's about it, guys. Hope this helped.